Also developing tonight, new fallout from the Supreme Court decision to rewrite the rules on marriage in America. Well, they found a constitutional right to gay marriage, and they upheld Obamacare as well. Senator Ted Cruz says that last week's Supreme Court rulings, doing all of that in every state, marked, quote, one of the darkest days in our nation's history, and promptly called for our 9 Supreme Court justices to face elections every 8 years. Senator Cruz's critics say that if up for election, the justices might try to just serve public opinion rather than the Constitution. Joining me now, Texas Senator and Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz. His book, A Time for Truth, hit stores today. Senator, good to see you. Okay, so let's start with that plan for the U.S. Supreme Court. I know you're unhappy with the decisions, but Alexander Hamilton, the complete independence of the courts is peculiarly essential in a limited Constitution. Now you want to rewrite the Constitution in response to a couple of decisions you don't like?
Well, Megyn, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me. And last week's decisions were the latest in a long line, and sadly were the nadir of the Supreme Court. It was a majority of the justices on Thursday rewriting Obamacare, disregarding the law, forcing that failed law on millions of Americans, hurting millions of Americans. And then on Friday, the marriage decision was utterly contrary to the Constitution. They're simply making it up. And as Justice Scalia powerfully said in dissent, that decision was an assault on our democracy. It was 5 unelected lawyers setting themselves up, and these are Scalia's words, as the rulers of all 320 million Americans.
I get that, but in response to a decision that you feel was politically motivated by the justices who are in the majority, you want to make the court more political?
It's pure politics, and you know, the framers, when they wrote the Constitution, they believed the check on judicial overreach. The framers wrote about judicial overreach quite a bit. They believed the check would be impeachment. Now, here's the sad reality. Within a few decades, Thomas Jefferson said impeachment had become not even a scarecrow. Even 200 years ago, the Supreme Court wasn't afraid of it. Today, we have a United States Senate. We can't even muster 50 votes to defeat Loretta Lynch, an attorney general who tells us she's not going to follow the law or the Constitution. There's no universe in which there are 67 votes to remove Anthony Kennedy from the Supreme Court.
How would an electorate that twice elected Barack Obama create a court that you like better than the one we have now?
Well, let's be clear. What I'm talking about are judicial retention elections, which means you'd have the same appointment, the same Senate confirmation. But every 8 years, the people would have an up or down vote with the option to remove a justice.
What if the people bounced out Scalia and Alito and Thomas, and we had a President Obama in the White House?
Well, I can tell you that 20 states have put in place judicial retention elections, and they have worked. The people have used them sparingly. But the alternative is, who in their right mind would design a system where every major public policy issue of the day is decided not by the people, not by the Constitution, not by elected representatives, but by 9 elite lawyers in Washington, D.C. As Justice Scalia observed in dissent, all 9 of them, they either graduated from Harvard or Yale. The 8 of the 9 are from the East Coast or the West Coast. Yes, I graduated from Harvard, too. As you know, my dad refers to my time up there as missionary work. You know, I think the problem was that I didn't learn what they wanted me to learn there. I was a little too thick-headed to be indoctrinated when I was up there.